various locations via the miracle of Skype. It's the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing, co-hosts Brian Schmidt, PJ Noodleman, and producer Dangerous Dan Margetta. Call the show anytime at 414-421-7901. And now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
Well, it certainly didn't take very long for us to get right in the thick of things here in NASCAR, is it? We're racing the second race of the year already today at Atlanta. Hello there, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Todd Bailing in sunny, warm Phoenix, Arizona. Joined by my three partners who are all in different places in the state of Wisconsin, beginning with Brian Schmidt in rural Oostburg, USA. Hey, man.
Morning. Yep. Another wild card of a race this week. The always exciting drafting type, what we used to call restrictor plate racing, this time at Atlanta. So hopefully we don't have I don't know what you'd call it. How many cars finished without a wreck last week? Like 5. Hopefully we don't have that today.
Yeah, no kidding. PJ Noodleman of Trempealeau, Wisconsin. Hi.
Hey, cloudy and 33 where I'm at, Todd.
Oh, that's nice. You're above freezing.
How about that? I'm looking forward to Atlanta as well because Ryan Blaney's on the pole.
Yeah, you like that, don't you? Our own producer, Dan Margetta, out in South Milwaukee. Hey, bud.
Hey, yeah, back in Wisconsin. Came from the 80s in Daytona. Tell you, it's something when you land and you get out of that, and then you got to wait for your car to the parking lot, and it's like 0 degrees, and you're not really prepared for it. But we're back in Wisconsin now and ready for Atlanta.
Ready for Atlanta. Yeah, we'll have to talk more about Daytona in a couple of minutes. But Atlanta, as you may have just heard, Ryan Blaney will start from the pole at 179.371 on a single car run. That's 30.908 seconds. It was a Ford show, at least for qualifying, top 4 qualifiers, all Fords. It will be televised today on Fox. That's Channel 6 Milwaukee, Channel 47 in Madison. The green flag will be at 2:19 this afternoon. It's been cold there, although not really looking for a lot of sympathy. Partly cloudy, and it'll be in the low 50s during the race. No precipitation is in the forecast. We shouldn't have a problem getting the thing in. The only thing that I wonder is why are they starting at 20 after 3 Eastern time? We don't have that much sunshine. We don't care if we end in the dark, I guess, or lights. Is that what the plan is?
They have lights there. And remember last year's 3-wide finish under the lights? That's what they're looking for again, I'm sure.
Oh, God.
Yeah, plus those West Coast viewers, they get to watch it at a normal time instead of like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, no, normal time. That's a good way to put it. And so this should be judged by the racing we have seen so far this weekend. I think it has just been outstanding. Yesterday, the Xfinity, even though Austin Hill dominated the race, it was still a lot of action, a lot of strategy. The racing was really, really good. Sam Mayer had a pretty good car. I was worried, when he changed to this 41 car. We didn't know very much about Haas factory team. This wasn't the same Stewart team, but of course they're better than way back when it was just Haas. But Sam looked pretty damn good yesterday, didn't he, guys?
He did, and that's of course we got to be at arm's length with this because these are 2, as we said, drafting tracks. So you don't really know how good these cars are going to be until you go 2 weeks from now when you're at Vegas, and then you're going to really see what the bulk of the schedule is like, to see if they have enough speed on their own, see if they have enough handling on their own to run that way. But so far on the 2 drafting tracks, those Haas cars look really good. But then again, Ford has been really strong. The Cup race today, you got Fords in 10 out of the first 11 spots.
Yeah,
so
amazing,
Ford has been strong.
Kyle Busch is the only Chevrolet. The truck race, that was just a whale of a race. Kyle Busch, anytime he is in a truck race, he's like the guy. He's so good in Xfinity and trucks, and he didn't disappoint yesterday. He was running right up towards the front late in the race and managed to do one of those pack the left rear drafting deals and get by .017. Unbelievable. He won that, but it was a good race for a couple of guys from Wisconsin, too. Ty Majeski, he finished 8th, but he was farting around towards the front of the field all day long. And speaking of having a good race, about gave me a heart attack. Luke Fenhaus, it was announced this week that he is going to run for Rookie of the Year, I guess. Is it a partial schedule, something like that? I don't know how you can run for Rookie of the Year with a partial schedule.
My sources say that Soda Sense plans to step up to help him be able to run the full season.
Okay.
And the press release from Thor Sports says several races. They did not specify, and I searched all over to look for their schedule to see if it has the entire season on there, and I didn't see that, but maybe it's still a work in progress, and maybe we're going to...
I think it is a work in progress, and the reason I say that is because if you caught Johnny Sauter's interview after Daytona, they asked him if he was going to be making more runs. He said he hopes so, but he's just not sure. He's going to have to wait to see how things play out. So if Luke brings the money, it'll be his truck for the season. And if he doesn't have enough money, then it sounds like Johnny might get back in. Either way, there'll be a Wisconsin-occupied seat in the 66.
Yes, and Luke finished 14th. But, my God, he was leading with, 16 laps to go?
Yep.
I thought, wow, this kid's doing pretty good. You know, the first time he's ever gone that fast, if I remember right. He's never been on a track like Atlanta before.
I think that was his first super speedway race, and I got to admit, I got excited. He passed Kyle Busch for the lead with like 15 to go there. I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah.
I've watched enough races to not really get so totally excited, but that was one that kind of pumped me up, and I was like, whoa, let's pull this off. And I remember on the rookie deal in the past, they took your top so many finishes. I'm not sure if they still do that, but that may be why you don't have to run the whole schedule to still be eligible for a Rookie of the Year.
I think you are right, Dan. I'm not sure how many it is, but that is how they factor it out. That way you can have a few mulligans.
Yes, it was that way in the Cup Series years ago, and now we're not even going to have Rookie of the Year in the Cup Series anymore, I guess, right? That's the latest they've come up with.
Well, they don't have the yellow stripe on the cars. You're still running for Rookie of the Year, but they just don't wear the yellow stripe.
I don't think they have a sponsor for Rookie of the Year in Cup anymore.
Yeah,
I think the sponsor pulled out, and they haven't found anybody to replace it yet.
Boy, it really used to be kind of a big deal, and for some reason or another, it's really not. But neither here nor there. It'll be fun to watch. Now we have 2 cheeseheads in that truck series, and it's always fun watching this kid from Rhinelander, too, even though he hasn't done a hell of a lot in
yesterday, Parker Retzlaff was in the top 5 most of the day.
I think he was going to have a great finish had he not gotten kind of screwed.
Caught up in the mess, like always. But he does pretty decent on the drafting type tracks. I mean, Brian, I saw him finish 4th that time at Daytona. That's the first time we actually met him. But he seems to have a knack for something like that, to at least stay out of trouble and be there at the end. I mean, he got swept up at the end of this one, but he was top 5 most of the day.
And on the rookie thing, just quickly, this is maybe why Luke Fenhaus is going for Rookie of the Year, because these are the candidates right now. You have Tori Breidinger, Andreas Perez de Lara, Christian Rose, Frankie Muniz, and then Gio Ruggiero and Connor Mosack, which could be formidable. But if you look at those other ones, Luke may not have to, run all the races and still be able to compete with some of those other names.
Dawson Sutton's in there too.
Yeah, that must have been announced after this particular article I saw in here.
Yeah.
Okay. Mosack looked pretty good yesterday, and I said, where the hell did this guy come from? You said Trans Am Racing?
He's been running the Trans Am series for the last couple of years. Yes, he's been pretty good at it.
Yes, very, very impressive young man. By the way, Retzlaff, my concern is that the equipment isn't all that good. Did he take a step down from last year, or is this a lateral move? Anyone?
I think it's more lateral, maybe.
Yeah.
It's the that's the Alpha Prime car, right?
Yep, Alpha Prime.
Which had a pretty decent run. It's probably on the same par as Jordan Anderson's equipment was what he was in last year, right? I think we're pretty close.
Okay. All right. Well, cars, remember what Robbie Reiser told us so many years ago? 80% of the deal is what crawls in through the window. And Parker Retzlaff looks like he's got some talent with a steering wheel in his hand. So it's been fun to watch so far. We're going to come back and talk about the Dodging Crashes 500 last week. That's what we're going to rename it. We'll be back.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit PMFlandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
Alzheimer's disease is the sixth leading cause of death in the country, and it's affecting almost 7 million Americans, including 110,000 people here in Wisconsin. UW-Madison is working hard to improve the lives of those affected, offering resources to educate and the latest in research and technology. The UW Initiative to End Alzheimer's has so many ways you can benefit, learn, get involved, and make a difference. Visit goalsforacure.org. That's goalsforacure.org.
You know, you got to start thinking to yourself, what exactly does NASCAR want for their premier event of the year? More eyes on that event than anything else. It's the most prestigious event they have. And I guess they got what they wanted, because we didn't know until the last turn of the last lap exactly who was going to win the thing. And William Byron came from, where was he, fourth to seventh.
Ninth at the finish line for the white flag.
For the white flag, yeah, he had moved up a little bit, but come on. It's there. Do you realize there were 3 cars that were not involved in an accident of any kind last week at Daytona? Carson Hocevar in the 77, good for him. Buescher in the 17, and William Byron in the 24 car. And Byron wins it, second in a row, like he really did something. It is an art form in itself to avoid crashes, especially if you're racing around Joey Logano. Because, you know, I have to say, first of all, none of us have ever held a steering wheel at 190 miles an hour while surrounded with other cars and having to make split-second decisions. It's not an easy thing to do. You've got a guy who's won multiple championships. He's as talented a driver as NASCAR has, and yet it's easy for all of us to look at it and say, should he have pushed the issue when he did? Yeah, he got blocked. I know. Oh, Ricky Stenhouse blocked him. But does that really mean you're just – first of all, he backed off after getting blocked one time. But just a sliver of hope was there. And here's Logano pushing his way in there and causing a big wreck. And I'm torn. You know, he didn't back away from it. He answered questions all week long. Yeah, and it didn't even look like Ricky Stenhouse was even all that PO'd about the whole thing. It's what you deal with when you're racing at Daytona or Talladega, or it's becoming more of Atlanta, although I think Atlanta is a little more refined than those other two. But I don't know. I'd like your guys' take. Without any undue Jolo hatred, you got to admit the guy is not happy to finish. What did Buddy Baker say? I'd rather crash going for the lead than to be happy to finish second. My thought is it was a little early for that crap, and you did it anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I look at it. I almost would blame Stenhouse more than Joey Logano because he's the one that's wildly swinging around, making these blocks and kind of being a squirrel, that way. And he's always like that on these plate races or restrictor or drafting tracks, whatever. I think if you know personalities and you race with these guys, know each other, you race around them, and you throw things like that. Is Joey ever going to lift? Have you ever known Joey to lift? And he's not going to. So why would you swing down in front of him that way? I mean, that's kind of Joey's reputation is, I'm coming through it. And he did lift once, which is, great.
More than he usually does.
Yeah. He does.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is Stenhouse's only shot to win too, right, Dan? I mean, he only wins on restrictor plate tracks, correct?
Right.
It would seem those two are like oil and water, which as soon as I saw those two together, I was like, uh-oh, this ain't going to be good.
And it wasn't. And, as we say, hindsight is 20/20, and there's things that they all probably would have done differently. But, that 47 car, he doesn't have a hell of a lot of choice but to just they all mirror drive, but to block as much as he possibly can and put himself in position. But Logano doesn't really back off, like Dan said. So that's, you get what you pay for, I guess.
I just stop and think about this being the biggest race in NASCAR and the randomness of it. And I've seen a couple different podcasts this week and discussions about, talks about guys who've never won this race. Kyle Busch has never won this race. Tony Stewart never won this race. And can they be considered of the upper echelon? And my thought is it's such a random race. You don't know who's going to win it and how much quote unquote skill does it really take to win this race. I think it's more luck than anything.
Yes.
And I think we saw you can have the best car all day long and it doesn't matter. At the end, you're going to get wrecked. Now yesterday in the truck race and somewhat in the Xfinity race, we saw the two best guys with the best skill find a way to win that race. Now the track is a mile shorter, but why can't we duplicate the type of racing we saw at Atlanta at these tracks? I just don't understand. It's the same type of racing. You're not going quite as fast as Atlanta as you are at Daytona, but if you could duplicate that type of skill we saw yesterday at Daytona for your crown jewel event, that would really be something to see.
The track is bigger, and they have more time to lose their ever-loving minds.
I think so.
And, the point here of NASCAR loves the randomness of new winners, surprise winners. There's been some winners that you wonder, how the hell did this guy, Derek Culp, how the hell did he win? You hit a bird or you cut a tire and things happen, but that, I believe, what NASCAR thinks is the best formula for this race.
Now they got it. You're pretty much safe fuel all day into the last.
Oh, and that's another thing. What's this quarter throttle crap?
And that's, to a casual fan, you don't realize. I watched it in the stands without a radio or anything, and I didn't realize what was going on until I started saying, hey, this is pretty wild. And then people are like, yeah, they're only going half throttle. Okay, now I know. So now I look at it differently. And NASCAR likes that because it makes great TV. They're three wide all around the place. And nobody, if you don't know, you don't realize that. But the trouble is we didn't weed anybody out all race long, so we still have 30-some cars at the end of the last 30 laps, and we crash them all. Before, I think we weeded some cars out of that before that time. So now it's just a fuel-saving game until the last pit stop.
Hey, Myrtle, what's on TV today? Oh, that Daytona. Oh, that's the one where they crash all the time. We got to watch that. There'll be lots and lots of crashes. That's the kind of crowd, I think, that makes all those extra eyes watching the commercials on there because they're waiting for the crashes and the
crashing is all fine and dandy because we become so numb to these guys not getting hurt. But when you see a wreck, like the one that Priest had, that scares you. And maybe we got to think about how we do this a little bit differently because that car went in a direction that we've never seen one of those cars go before. And sooner or later, someone is going to get hurt. And Ryan Priest said it in his interview that this is fine, but what's it going to take? And he goes, I don't want to be the one that gets hurt. And in his wreck 2 years ago when he went flipping wildly down there and his eyes were black and blue. So I don't know. NASCAR loves it, and we become so numb because guys don't get hurt. I mean, we dodged a bullet with Ryan Newman a couple years ago. But I don't know. There's got to be a better way of doing this.
Well, the panning underneath the car is what gave him lift for that. So
yeah, like you said, a piece of plywood in a in a windstorm.
It was crazy. If that car had some kind of wings on it, it would have taken right off. We're glad you tuned in. We'll be back.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company in the heart of Wisconsin is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Slot, nobody touching me, shoots and scores! Jake Livingstone! The Milwaukee Admirals continue a 7-game homestand Tuesday by hosting the Lehigh Valley Phantoms for the first time ever. For the near circle, shot, he scored! Pre-game coverage at 6:30, face-off at 7 on Fox Sports 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back to LTN. Glad you could join us. It sounds as though those of you who are sitting on the edge of your chairs waiting for another manufacturer to come in, it's something is happening there. We have heard, now I don't know who put that out there. If it was NASCAR, it must have been, because who else would know this? A formal submission form was submitted to NASCAR for another manufacturer for the truck series. And, you think to yourself, geez, I've heard, about Honda, but does that pickup truck really, I don't know. Dan, apparently it's not Honda, is it?
No, and I think the guy that first put something out there, I think, was Chris Knight, who kind of had a report out there that somebody was coming in, and I saw it kind of verified in The Athletic this week as well. It looks like it's going to be Dodge. I mean, that's kind of what everybody was whispering around, and they've had a couple of sources confirm that. So it looks
Hemi power.
Yeah. Now, is Ram a separate one now from Dodge, or are they all part of the same thing?
Well,
Ram trucks.
Yeah, it's an F-150 Ford too, right? So I don't know. Is Dodge its own brand? I'm not even sure. It's Stellantis. It's a Stellantis Ram. Nice. Either way, I got to tell you, Dodge is overdue to come back. They've been gone for 13 years already.
Yeah, we were at the last one. Remember, we saw the super
car. Yeah.
And then it never got announced because then Penske left and went to Ford, and Dodge went away.
That was the end of that. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed that it's going to be Dodge coming in, and they're overdue. Do they even make Dodges in this country? Now, probably the pickup trucks are made here, right? I don't know where those electric Chargers are made, or where those electric Challengers are going to be made. Are they made in this country? It's kind of hard to keep track of. It doesn't matter. It's a nice American name, Dodge Brothers. Yeah. So
they do currently manufacture Ram trucks in the United States.
Yep.
Outstanding.
Michigan, Mexico, Turkey, and Brazil.
Turkey?
Yeah, I guess they make Ram pickup trucks.
Turkish-made Dodge. A buddy of mine just bought a Buick.
Sterling Heights, Michigan is the U.S. assembly plant for the Dodge trucks.
But a Ram on a restrictor on a plate type racing, that'll be fun.
Yeah, well,
Ram.
This buddy of mine that just bought a Buick and brought it home, it was made in China, folks. He bought it in the USA. It was made in China. A Buick?
There'll be a tariff on that baby.
Yeah, you got to even out the score. There's been some penalties this week that I think that people are, scratching their heads and going, oh, my God. Parker Kligerman, he lost the appeal that he had in the Xfinity race at Daytona. We pretty much thought that was going to happen, but we didn't.
They claim that they were told to raise the front to pass inspection, and doing that it lowered the rears. They claim that the change that lowered the rear was required by NASCAR to begin with. So they may
There's a way to do that without messing up all the other measurements, though.
Not that you would know anything about that. But the big one, Chase Briscoe, who was the pole sitter at Daytona, was fined $100,000, 100 points, 10 playoff points, and James Small, crew chief, was kicked out for 4 races because of a rear spoiler modification. Dan, you know a little more about that?
Well, if you follow around on X, there's a guy there, it's Bozy Viterovic or something his last name is. He's actually pretty good. He has a really good thread on this. It's where the spoiler meets the deck lid is kind of where the problem was. There's bolts there that are tight, and they're really tight because you want it flush. Now, if you want your car to go fast, you got to get that spoiler out of the air. So they try to. It shouldn't be moved. That's why it's so tight on there. In this case, the holes were kind of elongated, and the spoiler might have moved a little bit, and that's kind of what they got jammed on. Now, he claims that there have been other places, because these pieces, when they fit in, they don't fit exactly. They've allowed teams to sand around there to get the thing to fit perfectly. The team is claiming that these holes got just regular race circumstances with all the air pushing on it made these holes get bigger, and that's why they didn't fit exactly like they should have, and then maybe it would have moved a little bit. I'm not sure that's going to fly. I mean, they're going to appeal it, obviously. The thing they got going on their side is in the past they've been allowed to make some modifications there to make everything fit perfectly right, although I don't know if that's going to, in this case, is going to actually show up. NASCAR hasn't lost appeals in a while since the Hendrick deal.
Once again, though, I ask, when they do pre-race tech, do you not look at the spoiler and look at the holes and say, guys, this thing is going to move, or I mean, we've seen pre-race tech inspection and it takes so long and they do so much of a thorough look at it. How does that get skipped? How do they not see that? How do you not prevent from having this post-race stuff yet again, No
kidding.
Actually, they didn't find it post-race. They found it back on the R&D center when they took everything apart.
Oh.
See,
well, they hit it that well.
Point. We're looking so closely at these trucks that now we're going to show our holes before the race starts to make sure everything is on the up and up.
But you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, I guess, right? PJ, isn't that how that goes?
PJ knows nothing about that. Who's aware of the name Jusen? I never heard Jusen Hamilton's name before. Dan, as we were talking before, told us he did hear of Jusen. Jusen is the NASCAR race director. Sounds like Susan with a J. And this Jusen dude, assuming it's actually a guy, came out and admitted they made a mistake in the second duel last week when they came up with a pretty early yellow light and cost Eric Jones a win in the twin qualifier. Well, at least we can stand up and say we made a mistake. Now we got to just quit making mistakes and everything will be fine. By the way, this is not the first time that this guy had to stand up and say he made a mistake, right, Dan?
Right. I remember back when it was at the All-Star race at Texas when they were coming to the finish and they threw the yellow right before the line. They're going to re-rack him again. Everybody's like, come on, just finish this race.
Yeah.
I think it was the same guy was part of it back then, and it was the same kind of situation. You just got to have a better situational awareness and know how things are going to, that close to the line, you can't be throwing a yellow and just let them race the line. It appears now on that we're going to race the line every time we finish, because since that, we've had yellows occur on the last lap, and they haven't been quick with that caution. In Atlanta, in the Xfinity race yesterday, that was about almost, quarter of a lap before they held that yellow and let them finish the line, which is good. I'd rather have them finish the line, Take the winner there. I mean, that dual race is going to look stupid because your start-finish line picture shows Eric Jones in the lead, and he didn't win.
From one extreme to the other.
Especially with the system we have in place with the radios where, you can tell the guys, once we cross the line, safety trucks are coming out, slow down, whoa them down so that they can get out there. So you can still roll the safety trucks because you're gonna be slowing down right after the checkered anyway.
It's a work in progress. We'll be right back.
PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
The boys of summer are back.
God, I love this. I just love it.
Beginning March 3rd, the Mike Heller Show and Tim Allen will be live from Phoenix daily. Plus, Jeff Levering every Wednesday at 8 a.m.
Yes! That is such good news.
Spring training coverage is sponsored by Potawatomi Sportsbook, a bet above the rest, and Wisconsin Concrete Coatings, your trusted partner for premier concrete coating. Opening day will be here soon. Milwaukee's home for the best Brewers coverage is 97.3 The Game.
Don't forget the LTN podcast available on iHeart, iTunes, and all major platforms. That became extremely important when we had some issues last week on Daytona Sunday. The podcast was available and still is, actually, and we had Dave Kallman on joining us in studio. It was pretty cool to have Dave on the program. So if you haven't heard last week's show yet, it was good. This you can also find racing nuggets on most of those same aforementioned major platforms. PJ, who you got this week? I don't know.
I think it's still the one from.
Brad Both from Cedar Lake Speedway. He is the guest that's still up right now.
Outstanding. Dan teased a little something on the program last week that I didn't know if you caught, but we're going to expand on it just a little bit right here. NASCAR, when they put out the schedule for this year, was bragging about how great it's going to be going to Mexico. To Mexico City with the Cup Series and make a big deal about it. And we always have our, we scratch our heads and hope that everything goes right. But there's some real issues, and there's a possibility that it's going to get scratched from the schedule this year. Some of the issues might include, Dan, you might want to throw a couple things here.
I don't know if I go that far now. I mean, the biggest challenge for this race was the logistics and getting everything down there, and that's kind of what they're starting to hit now. And I think they're trying to work through that. they can meet these challenges, maybe we can do it. If we can't, they're going to have some kind of contingency plan in place, which I think they have something in place in the background. But obviously, you got to get the equipment there, and that's always going to be probably one of the biggest challenges of this whole race to do it, especially what's going on right now down there. And the thing right now, things aren't that great right now. I mean, safety-wise, I don't think, look at your regular news. You have the cartels are kind of targeting American interests. They were in the last couple of weeks. That could change by the time that race gets here. But there's a lot of things that way that I think they're addressing them now, and if they can meet, then we'll go on. If something happens and we can't go, I think they have to have something in place, and I think they're working on that.
And we had Danny, and remember when we had Danny Eklund on when they announced this last fall, and he drove one of those trucks down there, and he said what the challenge was of taking $1 million worth of equipment down those narrow roads, and that was when things were pretty good, 10, 15 years ago. Things aren't any better now. So that's
the millions of dollars in equipment is just a part of it. The other part is they can't get insurance that will cover them after they cross the border. And it seems like that's when you need the insurance. That's when you're more likely to have issues. So they are working on a couple contingency plans there too. Like, for instance, a Mexican trucking company might be waiting at the border to take whatever equipment that has been sent that far so they could take it down there. Is that really going to – I mean, if you need insurance on what you are carrying there, is that really going to change very much having a Mexican trucking company take it down, Dan?
I'm not real sure how that all works. I mean, it's all kinds of things that way that go into play to get this to happen. I mean, it's one of the biggest races on the schedule, so you got to want to make it happen. So I think they're going to do everything they can to do it. That might be one of the ways to get around something like that. I really don't know. I mean, again, in the background, if you can't make it as time gets closer, you're going to have something else in its place, and I think that's what they're working on now. I know there's some things going on in the background. To maybe put that race somewhere else, but I'm not sure it's at the point where we can say, yeah, it's going to happen. I mean, it's every time you think NASCAR's in a bind, they seem to find a way out of it. And we look at Chicago Street Race. We weren't sure that was going to happen how many times, and all of a sudden, boom, it was there, and it turned out to be a great event. So I think you just got to kind of keep things in mind and as we go forward and see how it goes.
And a little bit of a comparison, a lot of people will say, well, Formula One does this every week. IndyCar used to do this every week. You also have to remember, Formula One and IndyCar, you're only dealing with 20, 25 cars. Back when IndyCar used to travel to Australia, they only had like a 24-car field. NASCAR has 40 cars, that are going to be going to this. So that's twice as much stuff you have to take down there. So you really can't conceivably, in an economical fashion, fly it down there, like IndyCar does. Just like, Formula One, they only have 20 cars, so they fly them all over the country. They're used to it. They do it every week.
Remember back, was it late 80s? We went to Australia. They flew all the cars over there. I remember that. They ran at that Thunderdome place. I think it was an exhibition.
Yeah. I don't think they took 40 cars, though. Did they back then?
I took quite a few.
Yeah, they did have quite a few. Well, Brian, for one, you'd be lucky to get 36, I think.
And you ran into issues back then where the teams, I think you had to declare, God, I think it was Carl Wagner told me this years ago, that they had to declare how much they were, values for all that kind of stuff. And some of the teams were kind of lowball on that a little bit. Then you had a couple of teams that only ran a couple races that put the real deal down, and you're like, hey, this don't match.
Mm-hmm. The contingent. Now, this is Father's Day weekend is when they're supposed to race in Mexico, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So the rumor out there is that it's going to be a third Daytona date if they have an issue with this logistics in Mexico. So just keep that in mind.
Road course, though, not on the oval. Correct. Right.
It's going to be a road course race?
And that makes the most sense.
That makes the most sense. You got a road course car ready to go.
Again, if it comes to that would make the most sense where it would be. But I'm not really ready to write NASCAR off as far as not being able to pull this off, because they've surprised us in the past.
And there's a lot of money at stake. How badly does Mexico want this? The people in Mexico City may come forward and offer a large amount of money that will allow NASCAR to feasibly get all their stuff down there without any problems. That's, I think, where push is coming to shove.
It's all about the logistics, and it seems like politics seem to have a part in this whole thing too. So keep our fingers crossed that this all gets resolved. We're very happy you tuned in here as we're getting ready to race at Atlanta. The green flag is at 2:19 Central Time. Be on Channel 6 in Milwaukee. Looks like it's going to be good weather, partly cloudy, low 50s. And the second race of the year will get underway today. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship-winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Alzheimer's disease is the sixth leading cause of death in the country, and it's affecting almost 7 million Americans, including 110,000 people here in Wisconsin. UW-Madison is working hard to improve the lives of those affected, offering resources to educate and the latest in research and technology. The UW Initiative to End Alzheimer's has so many ways you can benefit, learn, get involved, and make a difference. Visit goalsforacure.org. That's goalsforacure.org.
And now the LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
The Dirt World taking a little bit of a break here after the long Speed Weeks run, but dug deep and found a couple of results for you. We'll start Friday night out in Casa Grande, Arizona at the Central Arizona Speedway. IMCA Modified's the headliner there. Chaz Baca was your winner. This IMCA stock car is going to Kate and Woody. Last night they did it again at Casa Grande, night number 2 of that event. In the Modifieds it was Chaz Baca, and the stock cars was Tyler Johnson. Also out in Arizona at the Mojave Valley Speedway, the USAC CRA non-wing sprint cars were there. Jake Swanson was your winner. Down in Milton, Florida at the Southern Speedway, the USCS 360 sprint cars were there. Dale Howard was your winner. The IMCA Modifieds, the undercard with Chris Spalding, your winner. Finally, the big money race of the weekend was down in Clewiston, Florida at the Hendry County Speedway for the Crate Racing USA $15,000 to win Swamp Cabbage 100. And Mark Whitener.
Swamp Cabbage?
Yeah.
I never had swamp cabbage.
I don't know. No, they had a $15,000 to win crate race, which Mark Whitener won. They also had a $22,000 to win Bomber A race. I didn't get the name of that one, but that was your big money race. So that is everything for this week, as everybody takes a little bit of a breather here after the long Speed Weeks run.
And then on the asphalt side of things, just one thing to share from the UARA. They'd had a pro late model feature last night at Cordell Speedway. 100 laps, Jet Noland was the winner. Hudson Bulger second, Jake Finch third, 22 cars. The stands were pretty barren, unfortunately, but sometimes you'll have that when it's colder in the south.
Jet Nolan's dad owns Cordeal.
Correct. So sometimes the optics don't look that great, but oh well.
I think he passed Jake Finch late in the race. For the
He
week.
did.
Okay.
He did.
They announced the Kawicki program semifinalists this week. Were there always 13? It seemed like there were 15, maybe more or less. I forget, but they only announced 13. 4 of the drivers that were listed among the 13 semifinalists have ties to the state of Wisconsin. And mostly Dells Raceway Park is the common thread. You have Noah Eisenhower of Freeport, Illinois, who races at the Dells and was some kind of rookie for one of the programs. I'm not sure. It must have been for the late models. Cody King of Clear Lake, Iowa, who I have seen myself racing at the Dells. Now, Cody King was one of the finalists a year ago, and then sometimes they will do that. Tristan Swanson of Newmarket, Minnesota, he races at the Dells for Kelly Byers. Dan, he has come up through the Legends cars, I guess, right?
Yeah, he has. I first saw him in the Legend cars, number 91 in Legends, and did quite well. Raced at Slinger, raced at Dells and other places that the Legends run, and then moved into the super lates. And actually, I thought he's looked pretty good. I hate to refer to him as the other 91, but he's the other 91 car that shows up other than Time of Jones.
And he's engaged to Danny Fredrickson's daughter.
Wow, those Minnesotas. The one and only driver from the state of Wisconsin, Bryce Miller of Columbus. From what I have seen, there is a very positive things coming for Bryce Miller. He's raced in the Midwest Truck Series. He's been racing in late models recently. Looks pretty darn good. Learning in a hurry. He's going to be Wisconsin's one and only. And I think the Dells is the common thread between all 4 of those drivers. So
Bryce Miller has made a couple super late starts last year, and the ones he was in was pretty impressive, I thought. He made the field in a couple of Midwest Tour races, and I thought it looked pretty good.
Now, that was the good news from the Kawicki program. I have some very sketchy news out of that group. If I was to ask you if there's one name that you can give me that is associated with the Alan Kawicki program, who would that be? It would likely be Tom Roberts, the longtime PR rep that really has been the face of the Kawicki program. And I didn't realize that this happened, but at the end of November of last year, he was given a 30-day notice. He was fired. He had a contract that went unfulfilled. They didn't even offer him a severance. He's out. He has nothing at all to do. He was the director, and his position was eliminated as of the end of last year. So I don't know who's making any decisions. I don't know who's going to help these drivers with their part of the deal was they got training in public relations, how to handle interviews, how to present yourself. These are all things that Tom Roberts handled, and he's not there anymore. Also, it used to be that you got $7,777 for being in the final 7. That's all fine and good. But now there's $15,000 that will be shared among the top 3. Now, they have some sort of formula for that. Either way, you say to yourself, what has happened here? And I believe that they're running out of money. Kawicki's money is finally disappearing. It seems that way to me. And were you going to say something, Dan?
It was $30,000 between the two.
Oh, 30. Okay. Instead of $54,000 to one person, or $7,700 times 7 is what that came out to. So maybe they just there was some talk that they have been looking for a name sponsor for the program. For a while there, Dan, didn't they have Speed 51? But I don't know that was any kind of cash deal. I think it was all more PR type stuff.
I think that was more like a platform just to put their program on, as far as they have their banquet and that kind of thing. I think they streamed it and did things live. I don't think if it was a cash deal, it wasn't that much. I don't think so. I agree with you there.
Well, they're going to have to figure out is there a long-term program? Does Alan's money finally running out? He wasn't married. He didn't have kids. His brother died when he was young. There's just there's no one to give the money to except other race car drivers. And I will tell you that nobody in this world could have done a better job with that program than Tom Roberts did. And I am absolutely blown away that he got fired. I don't really understand it. Tom, we asked him to be on the program, and he declined, probably for obvious reasons. He loves the program. He says he wants it to succeed, and what I think they need is a name sponsor for that program to continue. So we'll see if that actually happens. We're happy you tuned in. We've got some other things for you when we come back. Stay right there.
PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit PMFlandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
The boys of summer are back.
God, I love this. I just love it.
Beginning March 3rd, the Mike Heller Show and Tim Allen will be live from Phoenix daily. Plus, Jeff Levering every Wednesday. Brewers coverage is 97.3 The Game.
And welcome back to LTN. There was an announcement that was made just a couple of minutes ago. PJ, you have been following.
Yeah, 2311 has announced that Corey Heim will be driving part-time for their team in Cup this year and also doing multiple starts with Sam Hunt Racing in the Xfinity Series as 2311 continues to support that team. Kind of interesting, though, because if you recall, Ty Gibbs and Corey Heim had butted heads pretty hard, and it was thought that because of that rift there, that Corey might be kind of stuck and not being able to move up. But it looks like 2311 thought we'll take him.
Dan, do we know where the money comes from for Heim?
I'm not exactly sure, but I mean, it's one of those deals, I think, where he's coming up and you're going to have to put him somewhere or he's going to go somewhere else. It's kind of like Connor Zilich and Chevrolet. You know, as these kids move up and they're ready to go, if you don't have a place for them, there's always somebody ready to take them from you. And I think Toyota put a lot of investment in Corey Heim, bringing him up, that they probably want to put him on a Cup ride somewhere, and 2311 is probably the best situation right now.
And with Connor Zilich, that'll get interesting too, because it's going to be, hello, Dylan boys, you best perform, or...
Well, that's a real good place for him. You know, that's not what we said last week, but I like that even better.
Yeah, I think Zilich is still part of Trackhouse, right? I think he's still under their deal.
Yes, he is.
So and that's looking at.
It's starting to get crowded over there, though, too.
Very crowded over there now, and that's why I think maybe Suarez might be on the hot seat a little bit.
Yeah, yep. As we mentioned, Brian, it looks like there has been some movement in the radio business, and there is a new network that got debuted this weekend. NRN, the NASCAR Racing Network. What is that?
Yeah, so if you remember over the last how many years, PRN does all the races at the SMI tracks, MRN does all the races at the tracks owned by NASCAR. However, PRN never did the Truck Series racing. So if you had, like this weekend, for instance, the truck race at Atlanta, which is a PRN track, MRN would have to send their crew down there to do just the truck race. They'd send a skeleton crew, did the work, and then they'd leave and PRN would do it. Well, as we've been talking about a lot of logistics and money costs, NASCAR, PRN, and MRN got together, kind of collaborated. That's a tough word to say.
Collaborated.
The collaboration created the NASCAR Racing Network. So basically what you're going to have now is when you're at a PRN track, the PRN guys yesterday, which is Brad Gilley and Mark Garrow and his group, did the truck race. And then when you're at an MRN track, the MRN team will do it. But because each still wants their own namesake for Cup racing, they created this network for the Truck Series. So the NASCAR Racing Network will do all the truck racing. Nothing really changes a lot for us, people that listen to it, other than you'll hear the same people all weekend, put it that way.
Can I use collaborated in Scrabble?
I don't think so. It's one of those Kluka words that would suddenly show up. All right, we did not have a very good week last week making picks.
Oh yeah, we did. It wasn't bad.
Okay.
4 of us were in the top 10 if we count Tobe.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah, just you and Dave Coleman were outside of the top.
Oh, maybe
10.
I meant myself. All right.
Well, yeah, technically you were the only one outside of the top 12.
PJ, just for that wonderful comment, I'm going to let you make the first pick this week.
I'm going with Blaney. I am not blinking on Blaney.
All right. That makes sense. Brian, why don't you go next?
I'm taking Joey Logano. There's going to be no screwing around this year. He's going to put himself in the playoffs right away.
Okay. Well, there's certainly a case to be made there. Okay. Dano.
I'll go with the top non-Ford in the field, Kyle Busch.
Oh,
that would be big for him to get a win, too.
I have to be honest, that's who I was going to take, too. So Dan and I both have Kyle Busch.
Oh, you're jinx now, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you worry about jinx. It cannot possibly stay this bad for Kyle Busch. He just has too much talent. He's too frustrated. He needs this so badly. And in fact, yesterday, did anybody notice that he got cheered by the crowd when he got out of his?
Yeah.
I was trying to think yesterday after he won that race. When was the last win that he had? Because I don't believe he won a truck race or an Xfinity race last year. Was it his Cup win in the 23 season? Probably.
Could have been. And this is a contract year for him at RCR. I mean, if things don't improve there, he can start looking elsewhere. So I think they got to.
Yeah, well, there's another case. So where exactly do you think you're going to go that's going to make your life any better? And then what would happen with Brexton's contract with RCR? The kid does have a contract,
Right.
Would that mess that whole thing up? I'm not sure. Yeah.
Here's something from Daytona. Jimmy Johnson finished third, which is a great run for him.
How about that?
Mm-hmm.
You know when the last time the 84 car finished in the top 5 in a NASCAR Cup race?
Dick Trickle.
Yeah, October of 1989 at Rockingham. Dick Trickle.
Wow.
Yeah, Trickle and the Miller.
Margetta bringing the nuggets.
Oh, I saw it online.
That's a dandy. That was when Mike Alexander got hurt, and they put Dick Trickle. That Jimmy Fennig was the crew chief for Mike Alexander, and they needed to find a driver in a hurry. Who's good enough to drive our equipment that isn't already spoken for? How about Dick Trickle? And he was down there as quick as you could snap your finger.
And Alexander was in there because Bobby got hurt, correct? Didn't Alexander take over after Bobby Allison got hurt?
Well, the car was number 84, which was Alexander's number.
Yeah. But so Bobby was in it the year before, and I think they put Alexander in it after Bobby got hurt at Pocono.
But didn't they still have a 12 car?
Boy, that for the rest of that year, and then Alexander took over for the next year.
Okay. That year Trickle won Rookie of the Year, too?
Yes, 48 years old. And
that's how old Brian is.
At the banquet, he thanked, and while he was doing his speech, he said he called Rusty Wallace a fine young driver, and Rusty had just won the Winston Cup. That was beautiful. That was really nice. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. This should be a fun race today. Based on what we have seen out of these races yesterday, it's going to be a barn burner. So until next week, what we want everybody to remember is that real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. Let's Talk NASCAR is produced and directed by Dangerous Dan Margetta. Our engineer is Matt Losi. And for all of us involved with this program, we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.